all eyes on Oscar Pistorius, who has arrived at the Pretoria Magistrates Court. He's expected to make a brief appearance for the first time in months when he returns to court this morning. It's the first time the world will see the Paralympian since he was granted bail in February. Prosecutors were expected to seek more time to investigate the killing of his girlfriend, Riva Steenkamp. Let's now cross over to our eNCA reporter, Cathy Mohlahlana, who is outside the Pretoria Magistrate Court. And Cathy, a very good morning to you. We know that Oscar's just arrived, and as expected, it is going to be a very short appearance. We know that it probably will be delayed and, of course, rescheduled for the month of August.
Well, good morning to you, Eleni. As Karen Moon has said, she's seated inside courtroom C. She saw him walk in just a couple of minutes ago, Eleni. Now, it took quite a while for him to make his way into court. We saw his car circle this block quite a number of times, trying to find an entrance where there were no media gathered. Now, it looks like they weren't granted permission to use the back door. They did apply for that yesterday evening, but it seems like it was denied because he ended up using the front entrance. Now, the car he was in was completely covered up in black, and there was no way of making out who was inside the car. When it did eventually come to a stop, Eleni, security guards, bodyguards came out of the car and they completely surrounded Oscar, leading him into the courtroom. And he is now inside court, where we're expecting that postponement to be put before the magistrate and once again to see Oscar Pistorius come out. Now, one of the big reasons why this is such a big case, even though today is going to be a mere postponement, is the fact that this is the first time that the public actually gets to see Oscar again. Since he last appeared in court in February, there have been some public sightings of him, but people are really just curious to know what condition he's in, what he looks like. We understand that he's lost a bit of weight. His family says that he's been under enormous emotional pressure, that he's been praying a lot to try and get him through this time. We know they've installed a gym at his uncle's house in Pretoria, where he's been staying since then. He's only allowed to go out for particular reasons, and it's something that the family sits down and considers. So they've really been keeping him out of the public eye, and that's particularly part of the reason why you see the kind of media frenzy around it around today as there has been.
We also have been very much focused on a lot of the stories that have been playing out over the last couple of weeks ahead of this court appearance. And, you know, some would argue that the prosecution is leaking information. The prosecution is saying that they are not aware of any such leaks as well. So, Cathy, there's just so many elements that are playing out at the same time.
Eleni, what you're specifically referring to, I believe, are the pictures that were released last week to international media. Now, the accusation from Hilton Buerta, who was the lead investigator in this case, is that those pictures could only have been taken by police on the scene of the crime at the time that this incident occurred. But police have said that none of their members are responsible for leaking those pictures. The NPA itself right now actually wouldn't have anything to do with those particular pictures, because it's the police. The investigation is still largely in the hands of the police. The docket hasn't yet been handed over to prosecutors, and so at this stage, when that incident broke, when that news broke, the NPA actually referred it back to the South African Police Service to explain what was happening. Now, of course, this comes as an embarrassment to both parties, who are really trying to secure a conviction, and they're going for a Schedule 6 murder case, and it's really going to take a lot to prove. And so the evidence that they gather is going to be key in trying to substantiate their case in court. Now, of course, Oscar's lawyers use that to say that, you know, to try and discredit the case of the state, and also they were very angry about it. They say they've been asking for pictures of the scene. They've been trying to get an idea of the kind of case that the state is going to be trying to pursue, and for them it was an invasion of privacy, the fact that those pictures were released. This is the officials are going to be trying to avoid this kind of scandal and embarrassment going forward. Eleni, all eyes are really on this case, and everybody's under pressure to do the best work possible.
All right, so Karen Moon is currently in court, and just looking at some of the outcomes right now, we know that Khadi now The state prosecutor isn't there, but Prosecutor Johnson is there right now, Cathy. And it seems that they're asking for that postponement for the 19th of August. The state isn't ready with their case as well. But we've spoken to Karen Warne numerous times, and she's been looking at the story very closely. And she was saying that even Oscar Pistorius isn't ready to handle this situation. So maybe a postponement would work in the favor of both sides right now, Cathy.
Well, absolutely. At this stage, investigations, the investigations that police still need to conduct and ensuring that he is mentally prepared. Now, it's been very interesting watching how the family has been interacting with the media, Eleni. From the last time that he was granted bail, we saw kind of the family withdrawing from the media space. And then in the past week, a week and a half or so, leading up to this court appearance, there were just kind of the surge of reports on the family, his aunt and his uncle now speaking to the media. And the picture that they paint of Oscar is a picture of a broken man, a picture of a man who's still in mourning. They say that he stays at home obviously most of the time, and they've tried to get him into a routine where he wakes up and most of the time he's either praying or reading the Bible, and that's the kind of picture that they're painting of Oscar in his current state. They believe that he is getting better, but they're allowing him to kind of be in this space, as it has changed his life, as you can imagine, forever.
The other element also, Cathy, with regards to the media, the taking of photographs, the actual filming of court proceedings, and this has just been one of those really hot topics that have been playing out since this came to the fore as well. And from what I understand, and this is one of Karen Warne's updates, is that photographers asked to leave, but limited cameras allowed to film as well at this point in time. So that's just one of the other elements that is playing out, Cathy, on the sidelines, as we see just so much international interest coming through for this story.
Well, the interest in the story, Eleni, just doesn't seem to be decreasing in any way. The appetite actually just seems to be growing by the day. The MPA says that they had 120 journalists that had applied for accreditation. Now, Courtroom C can actually only take in 60 people, but they have allowed 90 reporters inside the court this morning to be part of proceedings. In terms of the regulations where recording is concerned, the actual proceedings aren't allowed to be recorded on camera. Once the magistrate is in there and court proceedings officially get underway, we're only allowed to record the sound, and that's why those photographers were then asked to leave the courtroom.
All right, Cathy, we are going to come back to you as the day goes on. A very important day there at the Pretoria Magistrate Court. eNCA reporter Cathy Mohlahlana live on the scene. We'll be going back to her in just a short while. But Karen Warne is inside court, and just some of the updates that have come through. Advocate Barry Roux says that defence has no difficulty with the postponement. Also, Advocate Andrea Johnson, who is the prosecution, for the prosecution today, saying that she's not willing to actually clarify to the magistrate today as to why what parts of the investigation is still outstanding. Those details are not going to be made public as yet. So that is the most recent update from inside of the Pretoria Magistrates Court, and we'll be going live as the day goes on. So stay tuned to eNCA.
News that moves. eNCA.com.